Since Spotify's inception, it has changed the game of music streaming, curbing so many illegal practices. One would even think this big streaming platform must be running on huge profits every year, especially because it's been in the game longer than its competitors. However, this is untrue. It generates over $10 billion in revenue every year, but isn't going home with huge profits. If it keeps running on the current business model, they might be in major trouble soon. When we talk about Spotify as a company, Daniel Ek is the person we should discuss. While there are many important individuals involved, I want to highlight that Danny is the main reason we know Spotify today. He co-founded the company in 2006 and has been its CEO since. He started college but dropped out after a few weeks, finding success at tech companies. In 2006, he sold his online marketing company for over $1 million, briefly retiring. All this happened before he turned 23. He felt the need to return the business due to a perceived opportunity, leading to the creation of Spotify. 2 decades ago, everyone was freely sharing music files, essentially downloading everything without cost, a practice deemed unfair. Software, notably Napster, made this incredibly easy. However, within a few months, legal repercussions caught up with them, leading to a legal nightmare and the service's demise in 2001. While one might assume that with new laws and the shutdown of the largest file-sharing service, the issue would end, it instead paved the way for shadier, under-the-radar services. Daniel Ek observed this and concluded that the best way to curb illegal downloading was to create a superior service. After a couple years of preparation, Spotify was officially launched in September 2008, initially only available in 6 European countries. By 2011, it expanded to the United States, and by 2019, it claimed to have a presence in 79 countries and territories. The initial hurdle in 2006 and a persistent risk was their music catalog. Unlike illegal sites, Spotify paid for the rights to stream songs, making deals with record labels who own those rights. This was crucial in an industry troubled by illegal downloading in 2006. Spotify emerged as a cost-effective solution, providing users easy access to music while ensuring compensation for labels, artists, and others in the industry. Circumstances compelled Spotify to negotiate deals, and after 2 years, they secured enough European streaming rights to launch in the region. Post-launch growth heightened their appeal to record labels, leading to deals with major players like Universal, Sony, and Warner. By 2011, they had amassed 15 million US streaming rights, enabling the launch in the United States. However, Spotify as a model is not running on massive profits. If they continue on the current path, their end might be closer than we think. Without further ado, let's look at the reasons behind this. At the core of Spotify's financial challenges is the substantial portion of its revenue allocated to paying rights holders for streaming music. For every dollar earned from streaming, nearly 2/3 are directed to the rights holders, leaving only 1/3 for Spotify to cover its various costs, including research and development, sales and marketing, general and administrative expenses, and taxes, among others. This allocation proves insufficient for Spotify to meet all its financial obligations, let alone generate profits. The crucial question isn't why Spotify is losing money, but rather why it dedicates such a significant portion of its revenue to rights holders. Despite its 30% market share in music streaming, Spotify faces a challenge in negotiating lower royalty fees. The major obstacle lies in the fact that Spotify primarily negotiates with a powerful oligopoly in the music industry. The big three: Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group. These 3 companies collectively dominate the music recording industry with a 70% share and the music publishing industry with a 60% share. Since these major record labels play a pivotal role in promoting and marketing artists, they often own the rights to the music produced by these artists. The licenses from the big three, Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group, are essential for Spotify, ensuring access to millions of songs for streaming. Without these licenses, Spotify risks losing customers to competitors like Apple Music, Amazon Music, or YouTube Music. all of which also hold licenses with the big three and charge the same subscription fee of $10.99 per month in the US. However, this collaboration leaves minimal room for profits. For instance, if Spotify earned $1 billion, around $750 million would be allocated to the major labels. In the current era of music streaming, finding any song quickly on your preferred app is a convenience many users have come to expect. While it's fantastic for consumers to have access to virtually the entire global music catalog on the major streaming apps, this homogeneity poses challenges for the streaming companies themselves. With all platforms offering the same content, the lack of product differentiation shifts the competition primarily to pricing. As a result, this intense competition on price can drive down revenue and profit potential for these companies. The uniformity within the music streaming industry, where all platforms provide the same product at similar prices, often leads to either unprofitability, as seen with Spotify, or at best, marginal profit margins for these platforms. While this is an industry-wide concern, Spotify faces a unique challenge due to a crucial difference in business models compared to its competitors. For tech giants like Apple, Google, and Amazon, their music streaming services can serve as loss leaders. Instead of relying solely on music streaming as a standalone profit-generating product, they can bundle it with other services or use it as a promotional tool for products within their broader ecosystems. Contrastingly, Spotify lacks proprietary products to bundle with its music streaming service, limiting its options for monetization beyond offering it as a standalone product. Although Spotify has collaborated with companies such as Hulu, AT&T, and Samsung for bundled services, the profits from these arrangements are shared, making them less lucrative for Spotify compared to the integrated ecosystems of its major competitors. Spotify finds itself in a distinct position, where music streaming is its primary business, yet it struggles to turn a profit from it. The cost structure is notably intense. As of 2023, Spotify pays artists an average of 30 cents to 50 cents per stream, subject to variations based on the streamer's location. This results in an approximate revenue split of 70% to rights holders and 30% to Spotify, covering operational expenses and salaries, with little left for profit. Importantly, these royalties are paid to rights holders regardless of how frequently a song is streamed, meaning the more songs streamed, the more Spotify incurs in payments. The perception of Spotify paying artists very little per stream is a valid concern, especially given its status as the platform known for lowest artist payouts. With over 551 million active users, including 220 million premium subscribers, substantial revenue flows in. However, it's crucial to note that Spotify has paid close to $10 billion in royalties since its 2006 launch, and achieved its first profit in 2019. To illustrate, let's consider Netflix, which follows a pay-to-play model as well. While Netflix incurs significant upfront costs in producing shows and movies, once released, they don't consistently spend on the same content. In contrast, Spotify continuously pays royalties, and a considerable portion of the money flowing in goes back to rights holders and artists. This distinguishes Spotify's financial dynamics from platforms like Netflix. Unlike platforms like Netflix, where more user engagement leads to increased satisfaction and potential revenue through subscription upgrades, Spotify operates differently. For each music stream on Spotify, the platform incurs additional costs. The more you stream, the more they have to pay. Spotify saw an opportunity in podcasting and decided to take part in it. Initially, their venture into podcasting lacked earnestness and only gained momentum in 2019. Recognizing the surging popularity of podcasts, Spotify wisely committed around $1 billion to build its empire in the podcasting realm. This decision was well justified, given that approximately 33% of Americans now listen to podcasts at least once a week, marking an all-time high. Worldwide monthly podcast downloads increased by the tens of millions. Additionally, podcast listeners, compared to consumers of other media forms, tend to be younger with higher incomes. The podcast industry is witnessing a surge in advertising revenue, driven by 30% of listeners falling within the 12 to 24 age group, and almost half of them earning over $75,000 annually. Capitalizing on this growth opportunity aligns with Spotify's strategic direction. To further expand their podcast audience, Spotify embarked on an acquisition spree. allocating up to $500 million for podcast acquisitions in 2019. From this budget, they spent $400 million to acquire Parcast, Gimlet, and Anchor. They secured deals with influential figures like the Obamas, the Kardashians, Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the renowned podcaster Joe Rogan, investing up to $250,000 per episode to attract new global listeners. Additionally, approximately $290 million was dedicated to podcast studios. The podcasting industry, although growing, still represents a small fraction of the digital advertising market, projected to reach $2.3 billion this year. The surge in podcast listeners is accompanied by a flood of shows across various platforms, making it challenging for new hits to emerge. However, this vision remains a long-term goal. Currently, Spotify's podcasting bet has not yielded the expected returns, and if anything, has exacerbated their financial situation. To cope, Spotify had to lay off about 2% of its workforce and raise the price of its core subscriptions by $1, now priced at $19.99 per month. The Spotify situation shows how many different players in the industry play a key role in determining whether a company succeeds or fails. Do you think Spotify will be able to weather the storm? Let me know in the comments. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more business content.